Chelsea go again. After breaking the British transfer record to sign Moises Caicedo, 24 hours later, they've activated Michael Olise's release clause at Crystal Palace. Hi, good evening. Welcome along to the Transfer Show. Chelsea are also closing in on Romeo Lavia. The latest on that deal coming up, and it could take Chelsea's spending to around £200 million this week. Also on the way, Manchester City have been rocked by the news that Kevin De Bruyne will be out for the next 4 months. So will that change their plans? We have news on Lucas Paquetá, and we'll hear from Pep Guardiola. Yes, we also have news from Arsenal, Manchester United and Newcastle. But let's start with Chelsea and the possible move of Michael Olise. What can you tell us? Just 24 hours, as you said, after they sorted out that deal with Brighton for a British record transfer fee of £115 million for Moises Caicedo, they are at it again. Chelsea are understood to have activated the release clause in the Crystal Palace's forward, Michael Olise. We understand that release clause is around £35 million. That means Chelsea can now speak to the player and automatically will effectively have permission to do a medical. The decision, though, rests with Michael Olise. It's up to him whether he actually does want to go and talk to Chelsea, which we understand he would give a positive answer to. He's currently out injured, though. He had surgery on a hamstring injury that he sustained playing for the France under-21. So at the moment, he's not fit. That's not stopping Chelsea, though. They are carrying on with this spending. And what about their pursuit of Romeo Lavia? Has that changed? That is getting closer now, because we're told that they're in advanced talks now with Southampton over the signing of Romeo Lavia. One source has told Sky Sports News there's a cautious optimism that a full agreement can be reached within the next 24 hours. It might even be as soon as today. It could be a bit later, but that is the direction of travel that we're hearing. Personal terms, not expected to be a problem, as we have been reporting in the past couple of weeks when Liverpool as well were going in with a bid. They went in with £60 million, with a package worth £60 million, which was agreed with Southampton. But we understand that Romeo Lavia, his choice and his preference was Chelsea. Sound familiar? Rather like what happened with Moises Caicedo. Absolutely familiar. Let's just put this in context for you. As things stand, Chelsea's spending under Todd Boehly is just under £890 million. Now, if deals for Olise and Lavia go through, spending would be approaching £1 billion since May of last year. £1 billion. That is absolutely extraordinary. Right, on to Manchester City and the news that Kevin De Bruyne will miss the next 4 months through injury. So will that change their transfer plans? Well, we asked Pep Guardiola in his Super Cup news conference this afternoon.
We will see. We will see now. After what happened, we don't talk with Chiqui. We will see it, and we will see the chances, the possibilities, and we will see.
That is not a happy man with that news. Lucas Paquetá, City have been linked with him. Is that going to hasten a move for the Brazil midfielder? You would think so. I mean, this is a major blow for Manchester City, 4 months out for Kevin De Bruyne. And we expect Manchester City now to accelerate that move for the West Ham midfielder, Lucas Paquetá. We think that talks are continuing between the clubs. Early talks have indicated a gap in valuation and quite a big gap in valuation. David Moyes, in his news conference last week, was asked a question about Lucas Paquetá, and he's been very honest about a lot of West Ham's transfer dealings just now. He said, look, Manchester City did make a bid. We understand that it was more verbal, and it was around £60 million, which falls well short of West Ham United's valuation. We think West Ham are looking for closer to £85 million. Paquetá actually has got a release clause in his contract, and it's around £85 million, we're told. But that doesn't kick in until next summer. Hence why they think, look, if that's going to be the price next time, we want it in the region of that in this summer's transfer window. But they hold the cards here because he's still got 4 years left on his contract as Paquetá, plus a 1-year option. They spent big money on him last summer. They spent £51 million on Lucas Paquetá. So he is aware, I think, and he's quite understanding of West Ham's predicament here. They know that they want to get fair market value for Lucas Paquetá, and that is what West Ham United will aim to do, and I think Paquetá is well aware that that is going to be the case. Just one added bit to this. You know, when you hear of other clubs potentially going for other players, and then the selling club are starting to look around for players of their own. Well, we know now that West Ham United have begun initial talks with Ajax over their midfielder, Mohamed Kudus. Now, it hasn't gone further than that just now, but you would expect maybe a pursuit of Kudus to maybe accelerate the more that the one with Paquetá accelerates going to Manchester City.
All right, now we know City have already brought a couple of players in, Gvardiol, Kovacic. What about players going the other way? Surely they're going to have to offload.
Well, I mean, a few of the names that we're hearing about and we've mentioned in this transfer window, one of them, Aymeric Laporte. We've mentioned him before. No sign as yet that he is going to leave, but we understand that they could listen to offers for Aymeric Laporte. Not a surprise, really. If you go back to last season, his game time was quite limited without Josko Gvardiol in the squad. Now they've spent, close to 100 million on Gvardiol. You would think that Laporte's game time would be even further limited next season. Then you've got the case of João Cancelo. Now, he is back with Manchester City, but they effectively made the decision last season that he can go, because not only did they allow him to go to Bayern Munich on loan, they attached an option to that deal. So Bayern Munich could exercise a £70 million option, I think it was, on João Cancelo, which they didn't choose to do. But the thinking was then, João Cancelo can leave the football club. Another one is the goalkeeper, Stefan Ortega. Pep Guardiola has said in today's news conference that he wants him to stay. He's effectively their cup goalkeeper. And Bayern Munich, though, are very, very interested in signing Ortega. They've lost Jan Sommer. Manuel Neuer is still out injured. We don't know how he's going to look when he comes back. They've tried for a number of other keepers, including Kepa, who's now gone to Real Madrid. So Ortega is someone that they're looking at.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. Now, news coming out of Fulham about Alexander Mitrovic. What is it?
Yeah, so this has come from our colleagues Paul Gilmore and Alan Myers. And Paul Gilmore has been talking about this quite a bit earlier on in this transfer window. It is now the case that Fulham, we understand, are considering a bid from Al Hilal worth £46 million for Alexander Mitrovic. Now remember, earlier on in the window, we reported that Mitrovic wanted to leave. He wanted to go to Al Hilal, and he actually told relatives that he wasn't going to play for Fulham again. There was a bit of reintegration to do between Mitrovic and Fulham during the pre-season tour, and I think Marco Silva was key in convincing Mitrovic, this has calmed the situation down. The club aren't accepting this bid at the moment. You need to come back into the fold. So I think that eventually happened, and he went back into training with the squad during the US tour. And I've just mentioned that he told relatives he wouldn't be playing for the club again, but he actually has, because on Saturday, Fulham went to Goodison Park and won 1-0, and he came on in the second half. They have previously rejected bids from Al Hilal, have Fulham, £25.5 million and around £30 million as well. We think their valuation is around £52 million. This is getting close to it, hence why Fulham are now considering it.
OK, now, yesterday, I was surprised that the David Raya deal hadn't gone through. It has now. Just explain it for us again.
Yeah, done deal. And as we were explaining during the week, it is quite a strange deal in that Arsenal have signed him on loan. The loan deal is worth around £3 million. They have the option to make that loan a permanent deal for around £27 million. Now, eyebrows have been raised about the fact that it's a loan deal. Why did Arsenal not go out and buy him for £30 million? And how did Brentford allow that to happen? Well, quite unprecedented, you'd have to say, that the Brentford director of football, Phil Giles, in their press release to announce that David Raya had gone, he explained the whole situation. And he said this, look, this enables the deal to be done more rapidly, with all parties wanting to make this a permanent transfer as soon as practically possible. Now, with that in mind, I just think there might be something attached to the option that triggers an obligation to buy. So be it conditions like number of appearances. Now, we do know that Raya had entered the final year of his contract. So we're thinking, going in on a loan deal, with a view for a permanent, but he's going to be out of contract. Well, what Brentford have done is that they've extended his contract at Brentford for a further 2 years with the option of a further 12 months. And Phil Giles explained this as well. He said the extension is a fallback position, which is what we were effectively saying earlier in the week, in the case that the transfer is not made permanent. But he did go on to say, I'm not expecting to see David Raya back at Brentford. So that's the Brentford side. And I know you've been asking the question of me, of my colleagues, of the pundits that have been on this show, two number ones, there's going to be trouble. But the way Arsenal look at it is this is increased competition. Arsenal are a big club. They want competition in every single area of the pitch. And maybe in the back of Mikel Arteta's mind, he was thinking, last season, yes, Aaron Ramsdale and Matt Turner were really good, but did Aaron Ramsdale get pushed as much as I wanted him to get pushed? Well, he's certainly going to get pushed now because he's got another goalkeeper who wants to be number one coming into that squad.
Yep, he is going to be pushed, and here is the competition. Here is David Raya.
Over the moon to be able to take this challenge in my career, to make that step up in my career. So really excited to get going and see how the season ends up.
What was it about Arsenal that made us an attractive choice for you?
Obviously the club mainly, and obviously the boss. I spoke to the boss and he sent me the values of what Arsenal are about now and the group of lads that we have here. The way that the club is going is growing even more. So it's a beautiful challenge to take, and I couldn't say no.
We know obviously that you're a goalkeeper who enjoys having the ball at his feet. Is our style of play something as well, another reason that you wanted to join us?
Yeah, of course. That's one of the biggest part. Obviously, the way that the team plays and out from the back, being confidence, taking the possession out of the possession out of the other team. So that's a main thing that I think that's why I fit into the team, and I'm going to try and help as much as possible, and we will see what happens. So, but yeah, that's one of the main reasons that's why I'm attracted to Arsenal.
There he is, David Raya, the loan signing at Arsenal. Now, we're going to take a break. When we come back, loads more to talk about, including why Harry Maguire's move away from Manchester United has stalled. See you in a moment. Welcome back to a transfer show which has been, what's the opposite of elongated? It's made smaller. At 7 o'clock. Truncated, thank you. Truncated today because we've got a soccer special coming up at 7, but loads to get through. Harry Maguire, what's going on with him?
Yeah, developments today because we're told today that the move for Harry Maguire from Manchester United to West Ham United has stalled. Now, West Ham, for their part, believe they have a full agreement with Manchester United over a £30 million fee, and they believe that personal terms with Harry Maguire aren't expected to be a problem. However, it is thought that Maguire's exit from Old Trafford and everything that entails has not been resolved as yet. Now look, West Ham United remain interested. They are ready to do a deal, but as you would expect West Ham to do with so little time left in this transfer window, they're going to be looking at other options as well. They can't hang around for this Maguire issue to solve itself. As for Maguire himself, he was an unused substitute last night, so he was still in the squad, but he found himself almost fourth choice yesterday, you'd have to say, because Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane started against Wolves. Lisandro Martinez was substituted at half-time. Maguire didn't come on, and it was Victor Lindelof who came on. So I think there is plenty for him to think about, but if you look at what manager Erik ten Hag has said, publicly at least anyway, he's happy for his players to stay if they want to fight for their place. But if they want to stay and don't fight for their place, then he believes you've got a decision to make. I just wonder whether Harry Maguire is in that position just now.
All right, so what are the implications here for the player and the two clubs?
So, as I mentioned, with West Ham United, first of all, you'd think they'd have to look at other options, even though I still think in the back of their mind they still believe that there is a deal to be done there if United can resolve this quickly enough. We've seen before in this transfer window, West Ham United have gone in with bids and they've walked away when they've been rejected, but then they've gone back in and they've got the player that they wanted. This is slightly different because West Ham have actually agreed everything with Manchester United this time, and they probably feel what's happening for this deal not to be happening just now is out of their control just now. So they will have to move on to other targets. Manchester United leaves them with a bit of a dilemma because they are looking at other players as well if Harry Maguire was to leave. Now, we know Benjamin Pavard from Bayern Munich, he wants to join Manchester United. He's entered the final year of his contract, and Manchester United have opened initial talks with Bayern Munich. The interest is there. Everyone is aware that the interest is there, but it's almost going to depend on whether United can free up the space in the squad and recoup the money from Maguire to be able to pursue that deal. Maguire himself, I've touched on it before, he's got a decision to make. And if he finds himself a Manchester United player come 11 o'clock on September the 1st, that's going to be an interesting situation for him, because if his game time is going to be continued to be limited, what's that going to do for his England chances of the Euros at the end of the season?
Is this like the Harry Kane situation when the issue was between the selling club and the player and money, basically? Is that what it is?
It looks that way. Look, one source has told me, look, the personal terms that would be agreed with West Ham United are probably going to be less than the wages he would be getting at Manchester United. Hence, the exit strategy for both Maguire and Manchester United would probably require some kind of severance pay or payoff.
Gotcha.
That's where I think the issue lies, because as far as West Ham are concerned, they feel that agreement is there.
OK, so that said, it feels like this one will get done before the window closes.
I don't know. No, at the moment it's stalled.
Okay.
At the moment it is off. It's not happening at the moment. But West Ham are still interested. They may think that the deal's off at the minute. That doesn't mean to say that they're not interested in Harry Maguire still.
OK, all right. Dean Henderson, what about him? What's happening with him?
Right, so as it stands, he will remain a Manchester United player for the remainder of this transfer window unless a replacement goalkeeper becomes available for Manchester United. Now, we've been saying that the entire window. United have held talks with Nottingham Forest about a loan with an obligation. Now we're told, look, Dean Henderson remains an important member of the Manchester United squad, not least because Tom Heaton, who signed a new contract at United, is currently out injured. Henderson was on the bench, rather like Harry Maguire, for that Wolves game yesterday, so he's still part of the squad. But if you look at United's goalkeeping situation, David De Gea's contract expired, he's left the club. Jack Butland was on loan for the back half of last season. He has now left the club. Matej Kovar, who was in the goalkeeping department as well, has completed a permanent move to Bayer Leverkusen.
So they've lost all of those goalkeepers as well as Heaton being injured. There's no way Dean Henderson can leave the club unless Manchester United have someone who can come in and replace him.
Now, Aston Villa got thumped at the weekend, but a lot of observers are feeling they'll go well this season.
Yeah.
And they strengthened today, so tell us.
Well, they're close to it. They are very close to it. And this is a big signing for them, actually, because they're close to signing the Galatasaray midfielder, Nicolo Zaniolo, on loan. He was going to be the new kid on the block, wasn't he, in Italian football? He was so highly regarded. Unai Emery, very, very keen to get someone in to help replace any Buendia, who suffered a serious knee injury, didn't he, during pre-season, likely to be out for much of the season as well. As we reported yesterday, Zaniolo was quickly identified as a target, and it's interesting, there is a link here. Villa's transfer chief is Monchi. Monchi actually signed Zaniolo for Roma in 2018. So the pair do know each other. He's expected to arrive in Birmingham tomorrow for a medical. It looks like this is going to be a case of when and not if. Talks are ongoing. The possibility of an option to buy is being included in the deal is still up for grabs still.
OK, well, Aston Villa hammered by Newcastle at the weekend, and Newcastle have spent well over 100 million quid so far in this window. Sandro Tonali, Harvey Barnes, Tino Livramento. But are they finished there? Well, let's join Keith Downey at Newcastle's training ground for the latest. Keith.
Newcastle are still in the hunt for one more player. Eddie Howe said last Friday he would love one more signing between now and the end of the transfer window. It's my understanding that Newcastle are looking for a defender, particularly a player who could come in and play left back. Kieran Tierney at Arsenal is a player that they've been interested in for some time. Contact has remained between both Arsenal, Newcastle and Tierney's representatives this summer. The problem being that Arsenal would prefer a permanent sale of Tierney, and Newcastle, due to financial fair play regulations, do not have the money to put on the table right now. They would prefer a loan move with the option or obligation to make it permanent next summer, but certainly his skill set is one that Eddie Howe would like to see at Newcastle United. There are other options for Newcastle at this stage. This could go right until the end of the transfer window, as we see with loan deals, but certainly Kieran Tierney is a player that is on Newcastle United's wanted list, and that would complete a positive summer's transfer business were Eddie Howe able to get a loan deal over the line.
Now, we heard from David Raya earlier, another keeper on the move. Kepa Arrizabalaga, the Chelsea goalkeeper, has joined Real Madrid on a season-long loan deal. The Spain international joined Chelsea for £71 million in 2018, which was a world record for a goalkeeper. He hasn't ruled out staying at Madrid beyond this season. Right, let's stay with Chelsea. What's going on with Romelu Lukaku?
Still in limbo. Juventus remain interested in signing Romelu Lukaku, but they still need to sell to fund that move. The pursuit of Lukaku, we think, is being driven by their boss, Max Allegri. As it stands, though, Chelsea still not wanting to do any kind of potential swap. That would involve Dusan Vlahovic, but they continue to work closely with Lukaku for viable exit options, be it in the European window before September the 1st or even Saudi before September the 7th.
20 seconds, Damesh. Fulham bringing someone in, tell us.
Well, they're after a right back. They're interested in Sevilla's Gonzalo Montiel. You remember him, scored the winning goal in the World Cup final, winning goal in the Europa League final for Sevilla. They're also keen on Leicester City's Timothy Castagne. Castagne has not featured at all for Leicester City so far this season. He's into the final 2 years of his contract.
Damesh Sheth working really hard. Damesh is back at 6. We've got another half an hour of the transfer show. I'm back after the break with the very latest of all the rest of the sports news on Sky Sports News. We'll see you.